rest of the people are marching in, I thought it was appropriate to talk to at least a couple of the councilmen here that we have a moment of silence for Mr. Blake, if you will bow with me. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us here today. We do appreciate the passion that you all have for this community, Barber City. Before I hand it over to our city manager for a second, and he will give a briefing of what we will be discussing about today, I just want to let everyone here know that this city council appreciates all of your comments and your questions, because quite frankly, maybe in a week's time, this will be brought before their desk, and they would probably all agree here that this is just a hard decision, and we need input from every angle. So this council will be here listening intently to everything that you have to say, taking everything into consideration, so that next week, before they give their vote, if it does come to vote next week, they can hopefully with a clear conscience vote in the direction that they are led. With that, I'm going to hand the microphone over to our city manager, and he'll give a brief description of what is being proposed. After that, Sandy will call you up. We will have a 5-minute time limit per individual. You have a timer, Miss Sandy? She will alert you if you're at your 5-minute mark. At that time, simply finish your statement or your question, and whoever you're addressing to will answer it at that time. We plan to dismiss at 7:30 today. Hand it over to our city manager, Larry Woolley.
Thank you, Mayor. Briefly, to give you the overview, back in 2011, there was an informal meeting with Mr. Jim Swartz at his residence. At the meeting was Dan Dalbert, who is here tonight, the mayor, Mr. Swartz, and myself. During the informal meeting, there was some talk about the closure of West Street, an issue that has been with Mr. Swartz for several years. We had informed Mr. Swartz that there needed to be some type of a swap or whatever you would call it, as we felt that any particular street here in town did have a value. And shortly thereafter, we came up with some high value property, a very high profile property, knowing that one particular business had tried to expand and could not expand, and they were landlocked. They couldn't find any other locations. So we had kind of picked out the area in question along Illinois Route 54 as you go into what's commonly known as Perhay Plaza. We came up with the total of 5 acres for 2 blocks. We've discussed this many a times, and that's currently where we're at. There again, it's been a 2-year process. It's been through many legal channels. It's been reviewed. I don't think that there's too many angles that haven't been discussed. I'll turn it back to the mayor.
Sandy?
Jan Diedrich.
Hi. Hi, I'm Jan Diedrich, and I've lived here all my life. I've got a petition that Sandy has the original, and you've got typed copies of the names against the trade of the 2 blocks of West Street for those 5 acres. I'm against the swapping of any street to any private individual for any reason. The streets are laid out in a certain way for us to get from one place to another. The only reason they should be closed is for safety. I'm not against the expansion of KC's, nor is anyone that I approached. Okay? My reason for doing the petition was to see if there were other people who felt the way a few of us here felt. So the petition has 318 signatures. Terry Kelly and I had a group of citizens who wanted to help, and we appreciated their support. We weren't able to do every house because of time constraints, so we decided to pick small sections over all areas of town. You should know, I wish I had two petitions. One for the people that actually signed, and one for the people that verbally agreed but were afraid to sign for certain reasons. You'd see probably 600 or 700 instead of the 318. Now I have a few questions and comments. What are the long-term plans for the properties that he owns when he's gone? That factors into your decision. What happens to that land? If he's asking us to give us our public streets, we need to know that because that's going to help us. It might make us feel better about it. Number two, what are your long-term plans for city growth? What plans do you have? Does it include the 20 acres that you need to develop? He is the perfect person to help you. He wants to be in Barber City. He's made this beautiful where it is. He would be the perfect person. You need to ask for his help and need to put that in deal. I tell you that a lot of people are not happy because they feel they've lost tax revenue. I don't know anything about that. I haven't been able to do any research. However, if you guys want to know, I'm on vacation this week. I'll help you if you want any information. I only know about the last one because I can remember it. $2,400 a year, now it's $560 without the house. You really need to think about what you're doing. Don't just focus on one business short term. If you trade this street, you're setting a precedent. This is just the beginning. What about other businesses that want to expand? What about new businesses that want to come in? Unless you ready some of those limited options that you guys have mentioned, guess who you're going to be going to? And what will you be trading next? There's also the subject of the loss of affordable housing here. Just a little inconvenient. We're just a little too far to be inconvenient from Champaign and Bloomington. We're a small community. We are a safe community. We're a close community. We've been through the ringer this weekend, but we will get through this. And that's what people have to know, and we have to lure them here because of that. The letter that Casey sent back in August is just as evasive and generic as the answers we've heard up to this point. I worry that you're going to do this deal, you're not going to have anything for that 20 acres, you're not going to have anything for any property development, you're not going to have any assurances about the property that's left, and then Casey says, you don't want that 5 acres. So, don't worry, I'm almost done. This is just my comment. This is a small town, and this is not big city politics. In 2011, if you started having those meetings with them, you should start talking to people. You could have a meeting, not a hearing, but just a public meeting to get people's input. We're a small town. You can't keep secrets. It's hard to. I understand you don't legally have to tell us anything. But there are sometimes when it's a good idea to do that in a small town like this, when you're open and honest and forthright, you get all the information that you need, gather as much research as you need to have to be able to make the best deal for Farmer City and for the owner to get what he wants. And you could end up meeting someone very liked and well respected in this town. And you can get an Indian Scrooge for some reason. But it can really, really work, but you have to do your homework first, and you have to get the information from the people who have the knowledge. A lot of knowledgeable people in this town. You're open and honest first, then you can actually make a decision and stand up for it and stay behind it, whether we like it or not. Right now, there's a feeling of deception because this has been going on so long. I just found out about it in June. And don't want that deception. I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. I don't think it was on purpose. But as long as you get out in front of something and say what you need to say, and then give us our chance to say what we need to say, make a decision, and stand behind it. Please, if you don't have answers to some of these other questions that I skipped, if you don't have guarantees for the preservation and possible growth of Farmer City, please table this until you get more information and postpone your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On your first question, I couldn't possibly give you an answer. If someone in this building would like to address that question, I would encourage them to do so. I can't speak for Mr. Swartz on his long-term plans. I think that is a very valid question. I think it's a question that we have briefly tried to discuss and try to get some information out, but they would have to answer that. On your second part of the question, what is the long-term plans for Farmer City? I would challenge anyone to help us with that, because I got to tell you right now, I'm scared for Farmer City based on some of the stuff that you said. We've lost houses, we've lost income, taxable revenue, the value of the homes are appreciated, business have stagnated. Every year we face cuts. And I mean, look, did we cut 200,000 last year? You know, next year, it'll hurt. The year after that, it will hurt. I think that Farmer City needs economic development. But then I look around the community and I'm not seeing places for economic development. One of the things that I have to say is Mr. Swartz owns the land. So you said what down the road, the question is what now? What do we do now for expansion? Casey's responded a letter to you, and I believe they said that they want to expand, but they haven't found that place. And we've encouraged them. What about this place? No, it's brownfield here. What about this place? No, our philosophy is we can't move over here. We need these tax dollars. We need these jobs. We need economic development. In addition to that, I'm working as, you probably know that I'm not the city manager, you know, we are legislative only, but I'm working my tail off a bit with realtors and builders. We need houses. We need new development in this community. If we don't have this tomorrow, it's going to hurt. I mean, where's our football? We don't have the families. Feedback. There you go. Yes. I'm getting feedback from the audience. I don't know if that answered your question. On that, ma'am, if you don't mind, I need to move to someone else. Does anyone else want to address?
Just throwing out there is that there was, I love Facebook and I try not to respond to anything that's on Facebook because some of it sometimes just gets a little out there too far. But when we were looking, we were not, this was not specific for Casey's, just so you know that. I don't know how that ever got started, but this was not specific for Casey's. We were trying to get 5 acres that we could bring somebody in because we already had a Casey's. And so I was talking to Pilot. I talked to several different businesses trying to get new growth here in Farmer City. But with that, please keep in mind that the Casey's building where we're currently at, that is prime real estate. And we have had 2 businesses that are really interested in that building. So should the city move forward, should there be a new Casey's built, there will be something located in the 400 block of South Main, another new business. So we would expand with one. That'll be a 24-hour business, 7 days a week, more jobs, more tax dollars, and then a second business that will come along with that, not affiliated with Casey's, but they would purchase that building and move in after renovations. So you have to keep that in mind. And I will let you know that that's a pharmacy. It's something that we thought that Farmer City is, you know, I'm getting older, my dad's old. We need a pharmacy in this town. There's a prime location to put a pharmacy. So that's something that, you know, we thought was needed. We shopped all over to find a location for a pharmacy, and they went along Route 54. There's not a lot of places along Route 54. We all know that. And so this would be an added bonus.
Sandy.
Ed Warren. My name is Ed Ward. My wife and I reside at 212 West Market Street, near, born and raised west of town. I hope Casey's deal can be worked out. Do you have concrete evidence that they will come in if this is transpired? The other question, I hate to see you close 2 blocks of a city street to benefit one person. There's roughly 2,100 people here in this town. We close 2 blocks for every person there. There's no town left. So I hope you can work something out, get Casey's in here, get a pharmacy, as you mentioned. But I hate to see you close streets for one individual person, because next year, if you do, I may want to close my street. You know, it could snow. So think of that, please, and good luck on your decision.
Thank you, sir. I won't speak for the rest of the council, but if it is taxing me, I agree we should not close the street for one person. But my decision will be based on will the closure of the street benefit the whole community with what we gain. On your other question on whether or not Casey's is a done deal, I'm going to hand this over to Larry, and then if any other council person would like to speak.
After we got rolling on this, obviously we needed to know what 5 acres of land was worth. It's awfully hard to put a dollar value on the street. Sentimental values, usage values, but dollar figures are hard to come by. We did have the 5 acres appraised that Mr. Schwartz currently owns. At that point in time, I notified the council how much that land was worth. Casey's has offered to pay full face value of the appraisal for that land. So to answer your question, Mr. Warren, Casey's is very interested in coming to Farm City and building a new facility.
Any other council? Sandy.
Steve O'Brien.
Good evening. My name is Steve O'Byrne. I'm an attorney from Champaign. I'm here on behalf of Lynn Amaker. Lynn, as you probably know, lives at what would be the northwest corner of West and Water Streets. So he is someone that is going to be specifically impacted by whatever decision you guys make. He's probably the most unique person in the whole village as far as having this having impact on him, the value of his property, the access to his property. You know, right now the status quo is that everyone, including Lynn, has the use of West Street between the water and Green on the north. Lynn, like everyone else, pays taxes, and some of those taxes go to maintain the street and keep it open for everyone. In particular for him, the access to his home is now and has been for many years from West Street. Now, certainly the law allows Farmer City, through its elected officials, to vacate a street. It's an action you take legislatively. It takes a 3/4 vote. One of the things you're supposed to do in doing so is to find that there's a public purpose, not a private one. In this particular case, what's the purpose? It seems that one thing someone could say is, well, what's happening here is that Mr. Schwartz, in owning the 5-acre parcel that you want to try and use for development with Casey's, is coming to you to get done what he cannot do himself. He's using your legislative power and authority to close this street, affect the people of the community, and affect Lynn in particular. There's not been any offer from Mr. Schwartz to buy Lynn out. The only offer that's come so far is perhaps giving him a little easement, 20 feet, in order to get to the road, one that he'd have to put in himself and one that's only good for him. You know, the general rule, when a street's typically vacated by a governmental body, is that the vacated land goes to the abutting landowners. Both sides of the street get to the center line. Again, that's not what appears to be Mr. Schwartz's plan. He wants it to go all the way over to Lynn's property line. Now, I don't know if you've seen aerials or not, but, you know, this plat was done back in the 1870s. When it was done, compared to some other areas, the road's a little bit wider, at least the roadway was set up at 70 feet when some other plats were 49 and a half. We've got the street going down through there that's been there for years and years. And while it's not a matter of legal ownership, certainly for all of you, when you're in your yards at night, you're mowing the grass all the way up to the road. You're playing football in that portion. It feels like it's yours. If you look at Lynn's, he's got a driveway that comes out of his garage that's on the northern edge of his property. That's got some length to it. If this goes through as proposed, he could end up where there's barely room for him to park his car on his own driveway. Under the statute, you can dictate. If you decide you're going to vacate, you can dictate the terms. One of the things you can do is you can say, we're going to set things up where Lynn ends up with half of this roadway. But I think the beginning thing you've got to decide is, why are we doing this? Are we being potentially used in our efforts to try and get something done for Farmer City? Mr. Schwartz owns a lot of property here. From all intents and purposes, he's interested in the city. By agreeing to do the trade, he's already indicated a willingness to let go of the 5 acres. Why not let go of it directly and leave your street alone?
Time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone like to address?
One question. Are you?
Yes.
I'm wondering if, I thought we was told at the beginning where you would be having your own driveway and everything taken care of. Mr. Schwartz was going to be taking care of it. Is there any truth to that?
That's what you guys said. The contract we got back from his lawyer has nothing in there about a driveway.
Well, to answer, he did propose, what he sent was an easement agreement. It was an easement that first off goes just off of the edge of what would be Lynn's property line right now. You know, the difference between the property line where the street is probably about 30 feet. Maybe a little more actually. But anyway, so it would go just there. It would be just a 20-foot pitch that went from the driveway to the street. It's one that, under what has been given to him, would be one that he would have to install and pay for himself. There's no offer of taking care of that. And then the other thing, too, is that it's one that's only for his use, and only so long as he maintains his garage exactly as it is. Otherwise, it's fine, so it's not even permanent.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Council. But we not brought up that they were going to take care and give Lynn a personal driveway, make it very accessible.
We are under. No.
I think you maybe just turned it off. You thought you were turning it off.
No, I turned it off. There, got it. All right. This is something that we will have to see addressed. I'll tell you that right now, because this council has a other understanding. Okay, That's where we're at right now with that. Anybody else like to address that? Sandy?
Richard Cleaver?
I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. Whether you close this street or not has no effect on me. I could care less. But I see no benefit in closing the street for one person's interest. When you've already got 20 acres that you need to move, well, is there some reason Casey doesn't want to go out there? I suggest that you sell them some of that. They build out there off the highway, will draw in a lot of people, a lot of business for them. And it will also encourage other businesses, I would think, to move into the other 15 acres. And one of you made a comment about a pharmacy. That was my very thought. Where Casey's is at now was meant to be a perfect place for this town to have a pharmacy. I mean, we're situated halfway between Champaign and Bloomington. Decatur's 30 minutes south. Gibson City's 22 minutes north. This is a good central location. You need to work on drawing business in here so we have jobs. Kids get out of school, they have nothing, so they gotta eat, you know. That's what I see is a lot of what is wrong with this town. This town is dead. Been dead ever since I moved here 12 years ago. I see no growth. And I don't see anybody doing anything to try to get business in here. And I think that's a big responsibility to council. So why sell traits and land, street to benefit him, to get him to sell some land, when you've got land yourself that you can sell? That's my opinion.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Sir, in response to what you just said, I'm fully understandable about bringing new businesses to town. I've been in contact with Hardee's to get Hardee's to relocate to Farmer City. They had a big campaign. They were building new Hardee's stores. So I talked to Hardee's. I've talked to Sonic. I've talked to McDonald's because everybody says we need fast food. And we don't want to be competing and running Dewey's out of business, but we need fast food. So I've tried that avenue. And I'm from Farmer City. I've lived here all my life. So I really love this town. And this was just an idea. This wasn't something just out, it's an idea to get the economy jump-started locally. How are we going to do that? A job's a job when it comes to Farmer City, whether it's a good quality job or not. I did ask Casey's about the 20 acres. No one wants to go out there. The utilities aren't out there. If Casey's did want to build, it would break the bank to get the utilities out there because we don't have the current funds to be able to do that. We're not sure, what exactly it's going to cost. We've heard $500,000 to get the utilities out there underneath the interstate. So we are trying. I'm trying to bring new businesses to town. I just want you to know that. And when you say we're doing it for one person, I don't look at it that way. I look at it. And I have to be careful how I say it because I'm not getting anything out of this deal, but I am. Because I see it making our town better. I see it by making the town better because, okay, so we're going to close 2 streets, and I'm not holding Mr. Omaker's situation here, don't get me wrong. We're going to close 2 streets. The side streets will never close. That's been going out there on Facebook. Through traffic for east-west will remain open. But if there's more jobs and we can jumpstart the economy, maybe the new Casey's is the first thing. Maybe it's the Casey's, then we get the pharmacy, then maybe somebody else will want to come to Farmer City because they see we care and that we're trying to do something at the local level. There's no help at the state level, there's no federal dollars out there. We have to try it ourselves.
We did ask Casey's if they would locate to the 20 acres, and they said that it was their company philosophy that they be inside the town, and they were not interested. On that, Sandy?
Michelle Monahan.
council, citizens, thank you all for the opportunity to speak. I do have an opinion that is much different than yours. However, I'm entitled to it. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. The city has closed streets in the past to benefit the city, behind Casey's, near the city public works building, maybe even a couple more. A lot of people are also for this swamp. They are also afraid to speak up. We need to not let issues such as this divide us as a community, divide our friendships or our business relationships. We need to look beyond what we do not see or understand. We need to look at the facts only and not the impacted individuals we may have personal relationships with or care for. We need to put aside secondhand bias, hearsay. This is an opportunity to add more jobs to our community, increase sales, not just for Casey's, but for Dollar General and the other businesses in our community. The greater good to the community has to prevail. The community would benefit from this exchange as a whole, and I am in favor of this exchange. New jobs, additional business, increased revenue. People need not to fear what they do not understand, and it's not their place to understand what goes on in someone's personal property. I understand that there is fear of closing portions of the street. To me, if it were my individual property, yes, I would be upset. However, I also need to take a look at the bigger picture and what is the best thing for this community as a whole. Not what I don't understand about one individual or have bias against that individual, but what is the best thing for the other 2,100 people in this community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Michelle. You did not ask a question, but I wrote a note here. The second time I heard it was people are afraid to speak. I'm saddened by that. Nobody wants to hurt anybody in this community. These names are people who are passionate about this city. They care. And if you are against it, say it. And if you're for it, say it. Now, I think over the last couple weeks, months, on both sides, there was hostility, and any on my end, I apologize. But what makes Farmer City great isn't the Casey's. It's not the streets. It's not sports. It's us. Don't ever be afraid of the council, police department. If I ever heard of any retribution, I swear they'd be gone in a second. Say it.
Tom McNutt.
Mr. Board for allowing me to speak. I'm Tom McNutt. I've been here in Farmer City off and on for the last 22, 23 years. I've had a couple terms on the board. I understand what these guys are going through. They're going through an awful rough time right now. I agree with a lot of what's been said out here as far as Mr. Schwartz goes. If he would just have the gumption or whatever to come up and tell folks what his intentions are with this property in the future, I think it would help these guys immensely. As far as the trade for the ground, in the past, I've always voted against closing any streets. At this time, with the situation as it is, I hate to allow Mr. Schwartz to blackmail the city, which is what he's doing basically. You come right down to black and white, blackmail the city. But, as far as the betterment of the community, being allowed to move Casey's out to the curb would be a big improvement for the community. I mean, they're going to pull in more tax dollars, more, I don't know how many jobs, hopefully 5 or 6 more jobs, probably 2, you know, how that goes. It would be an improvement for the restaurant out there, probably pick up business for him. And believe it or not, having Casey's out there will also help us. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it does. If you get 2 units like that off the interstate, more people are more likely to pull off the interstate. And it will help Dollar General. It will help the whole community. Emptying the building on Main Street, yeah, it's a prime location for a pharmacy would be great. Other businesses would be great. And as far as old businesses come to town, you seem to all forget we have a new construction business, 2 new construction businesses in town in the last 5 years. The one over here by the park, I can't think their name right now, but I would say, a rough estimate, they hired 15, 20 people. That's 15, 20 jobs in town that weren't here before. You know, Harbor City is having a problem, has had for years. One of the best things we have right now, we got younger people moving in town. There has been a group of people in Harbor City for 100 years that have not wanted growth. They have resisted growth. But we have younger people now. Hopefully they will see the potential. We are in a prime spot. There's no 2 ways about it. We're in a prime spot. I was on the board a few years ago. I have to admit, I made a mistake. I hate to admit it, but I did. I don't think I made a mistake as far as the 20 acres goes. I still think that's a prime location. I think there's a new building down out there. And at that time, I tried to get the fair board to buy this ground on 54 and City Trade for it. All I could get was, it's not available. University won't sell it. Nobody ever tried. Well, now we know it's available. Or it was. So, I don't have a whole lot more to say, but I pat these guys on the back. I ran against them. I've argued with some of them. I've talked, I think, almost all of them in the last couple weeks. And told them my feelings. They got a rough decision. Just hope they make the right one for the community. Not for 2 or 3 or 6 or 8 or 30 people, but for the whole community. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Sandy.
Dwayne Goose.
My name is Andrew. I lived in town for 10 years. I live out in Prairie Ridge. We just promised a sidewalk out there, and kids have to play on the street. There's no in and out of the town, so I guess the kids are safe, but there's no traffic to kill them. We also had promised a bike path, never came about, so I know, but nothing might get done. Really want something done that time. But I've been on the town board in Waynesville. I don't know if you guys know where Waynesville is. When we got a bunch of us young guys got elected to the board, we have a new fire truck. Brand new. Half the time when the fire comes, nobody knew how to start the truck or pump the truck. So we got the University of Illinois to come over, and they taught us how to do all that stuff. Well, today, because what we started in Waynesville has a fire district now. So, I sympathize with what you guys are going through, being on the town board. My dad was in business in town in Waynesville, and that made it even rougher on me, because people would say, well, you're just doing it for your dad's benefit, when I wasn't. So, about Mr. Schwartz, I have a son who probably does the same thing Mr. Schwartz does. He's the #2 man on the Phillips 66 tax in Houston, Texas. He makes a lot of money, and I guess Mr. Schwartz is an oil man too. So those guys play around with all the money that they got. I've seen it with my own son. But to know what, I'm kind of agreeing with Tom on that blackmail thing. You might be holding out over your head to be not thinking about Farmer City, it doesn't sound like to me, but I've been on in your shoes, so I wish you guys did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I want to address the blackmail. I think Mr. Schwartz is a smart man. I'm not going to take that away from him at all. But on the same token, and could be playing me as a fool, and I understand that. I've made more mistakes than Mr. McDonough did, so I still think we'll get the better deal. I think it's a pawn for a queen. I think that the impossibility of giving up the road and what he's willing to give, I think we'll get the better deal. Because I've tried to do that, I mean, we have people on this board that realize that's an asset, that road's an asset. But so is Casey's. So is 5 more jobs. So is what we would sell the land for. So is the increase in motor fuel dollars. So is the increase in tax dollars. So is the increase in your footprint, your lighted footprint. So is the increase in, imagine how many trucks right now are down 150 that won't bother taking a turn on Hugs, that won't go to Casey's because it's too small. So he is a smart man, but we have worked this thing. So I believe we walk away with a better deal. So maybe we're blackmailing him. I don't know. Don't know. Anyone?
Don Brackenhoff.
I won't mind letting mistakes to start.
Hi, my name is Don Brackenhoff. I've lived here in Farmer City for the last 28 years, ever since I retired from the Air Force. I built a new house down on High Street. I love Farmer City. I personally served 2 terms on the school board and had the pleasure of being part of building our new high school. Back before my wife's health got so bad, she served on the city council, so we have been active in the community and want to remain active. On top of that, Jim Schwartz is a friend of mine. He has been a friend of mine for as long as I can remember. My wife was a classmate of his at what used to be Warren High School right here in town. That being said, he'd probably be mad at me tonight if he knew I was here talking about him. So that's the way it goes. And I'm not here really to talk about him. I'm here to address you guys and say, I think we have an opportunity to do something good for our town. If some kind of a suitable arrangement can be made with Mr. Hollander, which to me would be the sticking point. I've talked to some of the people involved in this. I agree a little different step, so but I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, so I'll shut up on that. Anyway, I hope they can do something for you, Mr. Hollander. Want to see more jobs. In some cases, we'd really like to have that spot out there. It'd be great for our community. And while I'm at it, a little bit about Jim Schwartz. All the people that do all of his construction work live right here in Farmer City. The people that care for his property live right here in Farmer City. People that mow the grass and trim the hedges and all that right here in Farmer City. He hires people as much as he can locally. And I don't know what his motivations are for wanting to close the street. I personally don't think it's any of my business. He has property on both sides of the street. He'd probably like to close off his tennis courts from the house. Have a straight crosswalk or perhaps a dog. If I had a lot of money, maybe I'd want to close the street. But I don't. Anyway, I think it's a good deal. I hope you guys can work out something that will be amicable for all the concerned parties. Because I think the city of Farmer City, if it works out to everybody's satisfaction, I think you guys will get a good deal for us.
Bruce Damage.
My name is Bruce Gann. I'm acquainted with Mr. Omaker. I'm acquainted with Mr. Schwartz. I don't socialize with either. I don't do business with either. So I don't have, so to speak, a dog in the fight among personality. Personally, I don't care what Mr. Schwartz is doing, as long as it doesn't step on someone else's toe. And I think the big thing we have to be cautious of is that Lynn's toes don't get stepped on in this whole process. We can't overlook an individual's rights for what we perceive to be for other people's rights. He has his. The other thing I'm curious about is why it took so long to bring this out. Nothing frightens people more than what they don't know. And that's where rumor, innuendo, you wouldn't have a meeting like this if it weren't for social media, very little information being out in the public, and conducting things behind closed doors. We all holler about wanting transparency in the city of Chicago and Springfield and Washington, D.C. Let's have some transparency here. Let's put the cards on the table up front. Let people know what's going on. Tell them why it's good. Am I against Casey's growth? Certainly not. Am I against the pharmacy in town? No. I hope whoever's going to put in the pharmacy takes a close look at the present Casey site, because there was excavation going on there around the tanks within the last month or so. I hope it's not contaminated. I don't know that it is, but that would be something I think that they would want to check out, and maybe before it gets too far along, it needs to be addressed somehow. Yes, business is good for farmers. And Larry's been down the same road Rod Reeser and I were 35 years ago. We approached McDonald's after the first mini-Mac went into Gibson City. We approached Harvey. We approached Dairy Queen. We approached a number of fast food convenience businesses. The answer was always the same. You're not going to make a living off that interstate. You must have the biggest population to support the business. Years later, several people, including my brother, Drake's, Mr. Zendars, Hammers, a number of others, fronted their own money and did the engineering and the work, which resulted in houses on the west side of town. The city kind of fought us on that halfway. The school fought us. Oh, a TIF district? Oh my goodness, you're taking our money. Well, no, it would have been a pasture if the TIF hadn't been set up to pay for infrastructure. That the city didn't have the dollars to write the check. So I think if you're going to talk about growth, I think if you're going to talk about attracting business, do your demographics. You need population to support those businesses. So I hope Mr. Schwartz benefits, I hope Mr. Omaker benefits, I hope the community benefits. But please quit doing things in secret like the secret society behind closed doors. Thank you.
Well, let me be open now. Lynn does not need to get screwed in this deal. Agreed? I mean, we don't want that to happen. I can take full responsibility on not being open and naivety, or there were many times, I assure you, that I wanted to bring this out. I was, even up until a week before it was brought out, we did not know if it was going to go through. Because we have been back and forth. And do I bring out stuff that is a pipe dream? When is that threshold? When is that point? And I messed up. I'll say that. There you go. I messed up.
I'm just saying if you included that,
and
none of us suspect
you are exactly right. I think that is, and I'll communicate now. I'm working with builders. Larry's working with the builders. We would like to see the second phase of the community built out there. We want sidewalks out there. We want houses out there. We are working with what we can. But every time I talk to some builders, I get I get a no, or we get yes. We are working on that. We are contacting other businesses. We are working as fast and as feverishly as we can for economic development, for housing development, and I've got a passion for beautification of the city. The three phases that I'd love to see in this community. I do struggle with when do I present, when do I communicate. Folks ask brilliant questions, and sometimes I would be quick with an answer, and then I would go back to Larry, and Larry's like, dude, you're stupid, you just gave the wrong answer. So sometimes, maybe I get a little gun shy, and I will take full responsibility for that, and it was definitely a learning curve for me on that. But I do believe, if you will notice, you go to our website, we have cameras on us. Why do we do that? Because one day I'm not mayor, one day I'm not city council, and I want to see what's happening. Now, I don't know if the next city council will do it, or the next mayor will do it. Sometimes they probably think it'd be in their best interest not to have it. But I like to have it on us so that people can watch. Why do I have that Facebook site? So that I can communicate, so we can get out there. I am trying to be as open as possible, even at my own self-interest. And I know sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but we're doing our best, and it is a learning curve. So on that,
Spoon Weisbauer.
Spoon Weisbauer, corner of High and West Street. I'm highly against the closing of the streets because we use all these streets all the time for errands and businesses. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Gary Rissler.
Gary Rissler. I've been here approximately 35, 36 years. I basically call this my hometown. I don't have a hometown. I went to school in several different schools with my dad moving from town to town, so I call this my hometown. My kids went to school here. As to why Casey's will not move over to the side of the interstate, I don't know why. They just feel their policy. Okay, so be it, but I don't know why the city has to negotiate with Mr. Schwartz. He said, it's my ball, this is the way I want it, if not, I'm going home. Casey's, he will not, period, just period, he will not negotiate with them. Is that the rules, the engagement, or why will he not negotiate with them?
Because he doesn't care about selling the land to them. He's not interested in selling the land, period. But he is more interested in those two sections of West Street than he is on those 5 acres.
I know, see, and that's the other thing. Well, it's commonly known as a compound down there. It's really a strange thing, because nobody really knows what does or doesn't go on around there. He's never here. You don't know when he's here. He's in and out, but it's all, it's built up and around, it's secretive. I drive that road a lot, every day, but once or twice a week. I like those roads, and we're going to lose what, the fuel tax, real estate tax, for the roads being closed.
Will we lose fuel tax for
Yeah.
the roads being closed? I can ask, Larry can answer that.
Road use, or
We'll gain more motor fuel tax by having Casey's there. Those funds are used for the roads.
and the houses, I don't know exactly how many he's torn down, but people were living in them, and now there's nobody living in them. There's not any houses going to be built again, so we're losing buildings. There's nowhere for anybody to come in and move to, really. There's a few rundown places, but I don't know. To me, that just seems like the beginning of the end to close those. Personally, it's like this is what I want, and that's how it's going to be, and I'm not going to play. I think the city should stay out of real estate business. That's just my opinion. It's not always right. A few years ago we had Roger Robeson, I believe, wasn't he, on an ad hoc type team that went up and down trying to get business for across the interstate? Wasn't he the leader of that? Yeah, from prefab. I mean, he was on the team trying to get businesses for the land across the interstate. They always came back. They always went to Leroy or Muhammad, and went down the road a little bit. What is holding up the progress over there? There's no utilities yet?
On the 20 acres?
Yeah, across the interstate.
I know that we have had we've had a realtor contact different companies, and I know Monaco said we would love to be out there. As soon as you get somebody else out there, give us a call, and we'll be the second one out there. And utilities are going to be a cost. Let me address the money issue.
I mean, there's conduit to use, though, correct, under the interstate?
We're still looking at least what you said, $400,000. I mean, you're looking at over $250,000 of money that we don't have. And as you pointed out, in the near future, it's not coming in because we are losing the houses and there is business stagnation.
So how do we fix that?
Well, you could run utilities out there, and then it would be called, of course, the bridge to nowhere.
Right.
As I'm finding out, I'm working on the South Park project, trying to raise funds to put up more infrastructure there. Nobody wants to get to that because the sidewalk's not built to go over that, and then try to build money for the sidewalk, and they say, what exactly are they going out there to? I mean, so you have that you're dealing with, that nobody's there. We would hope that if a company of size, like a manufacturing company, were to go out on that 20 acres, we would then, I would seek to have the power company fund it because they would be receiving probably the largest benefit from that. But until we had a sure deal, it would be really hard to come up with the money. And it could take, this thing right here has been 2 years, and it was a sure thing. So,
well, that's my next, and then I'll finish up. But the thing, as of when this did come out, a month and a half, 2 months, whatever it was ago, it was very astonishing. And it surprised a lot of people. And basically, they just came out to where they thought it was, and I'm one of them. It was sneaky, it was sly, underhanded, closing roads, and then you get bits and pieces, and then after that, it goes online, and then it spirals. I don't care for them closing the roads. I don't want to do it, but I'm old-fashioned. I don't like changes like that. But, when Casey's isn't going to leave, they're not going to pack up and leave by no means.
Probably not.
But still, I support all the businesses. I go to Casey's, I go to IGA or Farmers, the new grocery store, Hucks, and I do them all, but they all get my money. So I just like to see if you can figure out some way to get this settled without him getting hurt in the wrong run. Something settled with. Be nice if he would come in and negotiate, explain to the people, by the people, for the people. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jerry Hahn.
Good evening, my name is Jerry Holland. As I look out and see friends and people that I'm acquainted with and know very well, I guess I'm grateful for this is the only thing that's really dividing our community. I look around the world and we see civil war in Syria, we had fatality here in our home city here, and we're talking about 2 feet of asphalt as a sticking point. I think if I took a poll here, I would say that everyone agrees that we are looking for growth in Farmers City, that everyone agrees that land needs to be taken care of, and this property needs to be, needs to have access, and that needs to be addressed. And so I think that we're in agreement. It's just a matter of what do we do with this few feet of asphalt? And it seems to me like, you know, I came here to find out what the facts were. And it seems to me that the facts are that for those few feet of asphalt, we've got a kind of a wild card in there in Mr. Schwartz. And he is a private citizen. He's got private property. He can do with it as he wants. And he's chosen that he wants to join that property by having 2 streets closed. And in order to do that, he's willing to give the city substantial financial boost so that growth can take place in Lewiston. So it seems to me that that's a reasonable thing. So we've elected people to make that decision. It's a tough decision, and but it's a decision that I don't think should divide us or cause us to have animosity one towards another. And I've grown up in this town, lived here a long time, and I think we are all basically in agreement on the core issues. So I trust Lynn will be taken care of, and we can look for growth for Farmers City. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. One question was raised, and I'd like to address it because I think it's a good question, and it's one I struggle with as well. I am conservative. I think smaller government is better, and I think it was Warren who asked the question, why should we negotiate? And as far as I'm concerned, as the more government gets involved, the more we mess things up, as we can see by the crowd here today. But we've done nothing in this community for a long time. And nothing has happened. Business on its own, for the most part, is not coming. When a space is available, it goes in. We are trying to make space available. We don't have much to offer. We got a pond. We got these 2 little streets. Mr. Schwartz did not come to us. We went to him. He is a private individual, and I'm more conservative. I don't think he needs to answer. I think it would be nice. I think she nailed it. It would be nice that he gives us an idea of what he wants. Is he tearing it down because, like many of you, when you see an eyesore, you would tear it down too because you would like it to look pretty? That would be nice to hear. It would be nice to hear. Before I ran for office, I heard the biggest criticism of the council was this: they don't do anything but run off business. I have worked, this council has worked, every one of these men, and Michelle, when she was on, they love this community, and they are working as hard as they can to bring in business with limited resources. We have very little to offer. We have very short time. Things will close. You know, we do not have the money that we need to take care of the water infrastructure right now. We do not have the money that we need to take care of the streets. We do not have the money that we have to take care of the things that make this community beautiful. And as those things continue to deteriorate, our town becomes less attractive to newer people. Like all small towns, Farmer City is slowly dying. Look at your yearbooks. Look at your football program. Look at the fact that you can no longer house a national chain, food chain. Look at the fact that people are selling their houses to one individual. You're dying. And in 10 years, in 20 years, you will reach that point that you will not come back. And I love the pictures in the history pages, but there's going to come a day where that's all we have. I love this town. It's a hard decision. easement, love the town. It's a hard decision. You love this town. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your questions. Sir, I appreciate the information, very much so. And Lynn, you ain't getting screwed.
Gary, you did ask a question and there wasn't an answer. We did do some digging out there. According to the IDOT as-built, there are 2 casings that go underneath the interstate. We don't know the condition that those casings are in. Last fall, we sent the city guys out there. They spent a day. We had Farnsworth Group out there. They surveyed to tell us approximately where those casings were. They did find over in the north side of the interstate, they did find the casings. Now, at the time, the field to the south, on the south side of the interstate, had crops in it, so we didn't go there and dig. So, hopefully those casings do go underneath there again, according to the as-built from IDOT there in there. And something that I want to throw out there is this particular location, folks. Farmer City's dark. You drive around Farmer City, it's dark. You come in. I've worked midnight shifts many a time. I'll see a car come in off the interstate. They'll see that there's nothing here. They turn right back around and they leave town. That's money that we've lost. Casey's is talking about 24/7. It's going to light that intersection up out there. You're going to see a little bit more of Farmer City between Huck's being lit up 24/7, Casey's being lit up 24/7. You're going to know that there is something going on there. And I go to Chamber of Commerce meetings and I listen to the business people in town. How are we going to get people downtown? We have a flower shop. How are we going to get them downtown? People don't realize that there is a downtown. They think that you pull up to the 4-way intersection and that's the city of Farmer City. They don't realize that that highway curves on around and comes on downtown. If you get a business there and they see that there's another point of that intersection, we've got that lit up. Come on around. You know, we need to keep guiding them downtown. So that's part of the mentality of my idea. I'll take the heat for it. It's my idea. That particular plot of land, that particular 5 acres, I think it's a hot spot, the 4-way intersection is what we need to work in this town, get it lit up, get businesses out there. That's why it is proposed to go there.
Do you have any more speakers?
Susan McQuaid.
Hello, my name is Susan McQuaid, and I live at 201 East Water Street here in Farmer City. I'm not from Farmer City originally, but I feel that it is my town, and I raised my children here. I first wanted to address Lynn's situation. I wanted to remind the council, in case they're not familiar, with promises that Mr. Schwartz has made before to this community and to the council members in charge at the time. When I moved into the community in the beginning of the 1990s, he was trying to purchase the old Franklin Grade School. And he made a promise to the council members and to the community that he would tear down the school, subdivide the block, and put in housing. All he did was tear down part of the school and leave the gym for storage. If you're unsure of the facts, you can check the Farmer City Journal. The records are kept at the Historical Society on Main Street. There were several articles written at the time that will verify this information. So in regard to Lynn's situation, I think any promises made about a driveway or an easement need to be in writing in Lynn's favor before the council approves the closure of the streets for Mr. Schwartz. Because my fear is that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And I'm afraid that he'll say whatever he thinks you want to hear to get what he wants. And then once he has what he wants, he won't do what he said. Now let me be clear. I don't know Mr. Schwartz. I've never met him. I don't even know what he looks like. I see when I walk my dog around town what a beautiful job he does with his property. I think everybody in Farmer City is in agreement that everything he does looks so nice. But I really came today to talk about my concerns for the future of Farmer City, because I know that Josh Hahn is on the council and he's raising his children here, which would be at least third generation for sure, I don't know. And I'd like to think that there will still be a viable Farmer City if any of my children want to raise their children here. And I'm afraid of what Mr. Schwartz is doing to our community. I agree with Michelle that he is a private citizen, and to a certain extent he has a right to do whatever he wants with his property. However, I own property in Champaign, and the reality is that the governing body has a right to tell private owners of land what they can or cannot do with the land. The compound, as it's called, I believe was probably zoned single-family dwelling, if there is zoning. When he connected the buildings, he then made it multi-family. Now, if there's not a city ordinance about that, there's got to be a state or a county zoning ordinance dictating that he shouldn't have been allowed to do that. And the city has the right to say that's not in our best interest. I have an unofficial map showing the parcels of land that Mr. Schwartz owns. And I'd like to give it to the council to look over. And if anybody here tonight would like to see it, you're welcome to it. It's unofficial because there may or may not be some mistakes involved. I didn't do the map. Further information could probably be discerned at the county level to make sure that this is accurate. I went to Michelle Monahan at the time that she was on the board when the apartment building got knocked down over across from the church, because I was alarmed. Because the apartment building, although dated, probably built around 1960s based on the way the building looked to be in pretty decent physical condition. It wasn't torn.
I believe it was invested in termite, wasn't it?
It was brick.
I believe there was, again, I didn't expect, my understanding was it was invested in termite.
Okay, I don't know, but I stopped Michelle out in the community and said, I'm alarmed because here's a multi-family building that got knocked down and trees were planted instead. Let me pass this map to you so you can look at it while I finish my discussion.
It's time. Do you have a closing statement or a closing question?
I just wanted to say in regard, I just wanted to say in regard to the closing of the street. I understand it's a hard decision, and ultimately development needs to occur for Farmer City, and this is an educated gamble on the council's part. But I'm afraid of the precedent that it's setting for Mr. Schwartz. And what will happen is he continues to buy up more properties and then tear down existing structures. We lose tax dollars. Any undeveloped piece of land and trees don't count as a development, bring in less tax dollars for our schools and our community, and leave less housing available for people to move into.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dana Bettinger. Dana Bettinger.
Hi, I'm Dana Bettinger. I was raised in Scarborough, been here all my life, generations of us have been here. Live at 303 West Green Street. I chose to live in Farmer City, raise my kids here. I go to Champaign every day to work. Leave my door unlocked. Come back home, everything's safe. Go to work today, even after what happened this weekend. They said, "Are you worried?" I said, "I'm not worried. We live in Farmer City. We take care of each other." You're worried about taking care of sports, and I understand the business that we need to raise. You say that we don't have any place to go. There's empty buildings on Main Street, Farmer City going to. As far as Casey's, I don't think they've made that complete decision, according to what I understand. That they wouldn't leave town if they stayed. They're not guaranteed to live out there. We're gonna make the decision to close 2 streets for him, for this area. Has anybody talked about it raining out there and all flooding? Because it is a flood zone. You don't have to have a map to see that. Just like what was on Elam Weldon when they sold that property to a police officer. They said it wasn't a flood zone. But he was out there moving dirt because it was a flood zone. I tell my kids, look at what's around you. I don't know if I'd stay or not. They plan on staying. They want to raise their kids here. But if Swartz is going to own this town, I tell him to move out. It's about him. Like she said, he made promises when he bought that, the old Franklin building, and he has not taken care of it. My dad's tax assessor. I help. Every building that you knock down, you take away money from the city. You talk about it's going to build more money up for motor taxes. You have to have people stop. On my way home, I pass 6 gas stations. How many of us truly in this town buy all their groceries up here at Farmer City Market? If we did, they'd make a hell of a killing, but they don't. They barely struggle. Those are choices that we make. Most of this community goes outside Farmer City to work. Most of that community, I realize I was raised here. My dad will tell you, you take care of your neighbors, you hire people in town, you do what you need outside of town. This is your home. He's always made that clear to us. This is where he lives. When money comes back into this community, I hire people from here. I get all my stuff done. You can ask, grab the rest of the roof of my garage. I went to work. The people at work are like, you really got a roofer? Yep, he's at my house. I trust him. That's why this town goes. Where's Swartz? He's overseas. Does he care? If he cared, he'd be putting up buildings so people can live here, so that people can move here, so that the young families can make it. You do have young families that are moving. It's great. But unless you continue to have places to go, they're not going to be able to come. I just want you guys to look at it. And the road behind Casey's, that was a personal drive they found out that they closed. And Casey's didn't move. At one time, Casey's wanted to buy that whole land right across from where the car wash was. And my dad did a petition to stop that. We ended up with Casey's and Subway. We ended up with Casey's and car wash. So buildings will come. People will come if you ask enough people. People don't want to work in Champaign. It's dangerous. They'll tell you, I don't go out at night. I go out at night. I go to Champaign at night. I'm just telling you, you guys know what you're doing. Not saying that you don't. Take a look at it. The only other question I have is with Mr. Amaker. So the agreement is that he can pull in his drive, Lynn, as long as you live there. Lynn, in 5 years, you want to sell that house, and you sell that house to me, can I use your drive?
It does allow for him to pass it on so long as it continues to be used as a garage. So it isn't something that if Lynn died, in fairness, if Lynn died 5 days after it happened, the easement doesn't go away. But if he stops using it, if the garage isn't located, continue to be used as a garage, then the easement would expire. But what's been offered by Mr. Schwartz is an easement that's 20 feet wide, immediately adjacent to the property line. So that brings it in probably about, its outside edge is probably 15 feet inside from the center line of the roadway. And then it goes essentially from the edge of his current driveway south to Waters.
Just wanted to make sure. I just want you guys to look at it. Look at what he's done.
Thank you very much. Sandy?
Aaron McKinley.
Hello, my name is Erin McKinley. I'm from this town. I feel like I represent the younger generation of this town. I have a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old that go to these schools, and I guess my issues, I am not for this whatsoever. I feel like my issues are, 15 years down the road when the city council is different and the city manager is gone and, Swartz is possibly no longer here. And I just want to also throw out that I have no issues with Swartz, Mr. Swartz, or Casey. I'm not against him or Casey's getting a new building whatsoever. If we close the streets, he's gonna obviously plant grass and make it just a closed area. And once he dies, he has no children. He has nobody to take anything over. And I feel like I've heard rumors that farmland money would be used to pay for the upkeep of the grounds, which, I feel like it's a little bit of a travesty that we would never have the option to ever build houses there again, to bring children into our school district and bring families into our town and help our town grow. I mean, there is a major chunk of Farmer City that we are talking about if this happens. And if later down the road we decide as a town that this is not for us, that we want our town to not be divided in the center of it, then we have to spend all the money to re-put the roads back in and do everything all over again. And I just feel like there's a lot of things that have been talked about with this and maybe not a lot of facts necessarily, because for Lynn's lawyer to come in here and say that you guys had no idea, that seems like there's facts not completely in order. And that's a problem. If you guys have known about this since 2011, I mean, it's 2013. So 2 years, you should know about that. I feel like everybody on this council, excluding my dad, who is new to the council. And also, I would like to say that our business has been a part of this town for a very long time. And we also bring in sales tax to this town. And I, for one, have never met you, Mr. Mayor, come to our office. I am in it every single day. I work there. The city manager has never visited me into our office, never asked if we, had any ideas of ever expanding. And we have. And no one has ever approached us. We could add more employees. We could do bigger things. But, the city has never shown any interest in helping the businesses that already exist in this town. We're so hell-bent on helping Casey's expand, but none of you have ever come to ask current businesses, is there anything that, that you think we could do to help you expand, or just to ask any questions, really, in general. I've never met any of you. I work in that office every single day, so that to me is an issue. There's a Freedom gas station that is sitting vacant and has been sitting vacant for years. And there's no pharmacy that wants to go into there. We had pharmacies uptown in Farmer City, and that building's empty, has been empty for a long time, and all I ever see is cats in the window. So, none of these businesses are being filled, but there's all these promises of things that, are going to come. If Casey's comes, all this is going to come. There's no guarantee of that, and I feel like we're kind of being duped a little bit for the benefit of Mr. Swartz getting what he wants, and you guys saying, this Casey is going to change our town. Well, I've been to, Hayward has a newer Casey's, like the one we would probably be getting. And when I went in there just the other day, and there were baseball games going on, it was busy, and there was 2 employees. One working in the pizza department, and one working the register. I didn't see 8 employees. I just am not 100% certain that I believe that Casey's is going to add this enormous amount of jobs to our community. They might bring in more fuel tax or whatever, but, to say that the sales tax dollars are going to raise, they are, but they could in other ways too. You could have businesses that have been here and have helped this community, like McKinley Water. We have done several things in the community. Donate money. We are always supporters of the school, of the athletics, of everything we can to try to keep this town going. I think what this town is lacking is camaraderie and the fact that we feel like we get lied to by the people that are supposed to be the ones that we go to. And maybe that is why people don't want to come up here tonight and speak, because you guys have known about this since 2011. And what exactly was the final straw to make this come out into the public? You know, what? Okay, I'm
What
finished.
is the final?
I just want to know what was it that actually, that you decided at that moment, I'm going to tell everybody? You know, because it's been known for 2 years.
Let's see, Lynn Almaker was one of them. I remember that we wanted to,
We don't go bring Mr. Omiker in, start letting him,
there was some.
So Mr. Almaker was told about this at the same time we were, like,
No, he was told about it.
in 2011?
No, I don't know what year, I don't know.
Can we ask him? Do you know when you were told about it?
It was around February.
That this year?
February, yeah. No, but hold on a second. We entered into a conversation. It has been back and forth. Is it going to be 1 acre? Is it going to be 3 acres? Is it going to be 5 acres? Do we have somebody here? Do we have not somebody in there? And up until the time that we even came out to say it, well, I believe we thought the deal was dead a week before we came out, and to come out and say we've got this, and oh, by the way, it's not going to come to fruition. So again, I'll take full responsibility for that. That's absolutely my fault. I can't address that anymore.
Okay, all right.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
And just a couple quick responses. We have tried to do things for local businesses, and I'll personally apologize for never stepping foot into the door as a city manager. Been down there before for other issues. But you can walk over to King's Ace Hardware, and you can go talk to Dewey King. And I went in there one day and I said, Dewey, I think that if there's something that we can do, you're up here, you're kind of isolated by yourself. If we can get you down on Main Street, there's a large building that's currently available. It's in foreclosure. And get you down there. High profile TIF funds are available. We can help you out all we could. And he thought about it pretty hard. That would have brought better traffic flow in Main Street. I went to the grocery store. I told the grocery store, you know how close we were to losing the grocery store? I don't know if anybody in here really knows how close we were to losing the grocery store. And it's still pretty possible we're going to lose the grocery store because, as Mrs. Bettinger said, or whoever it was earlier, don't buy groceries here in town. Well, you know, they've got a heck of a light bill down there. They employ several people. People don't go in there and shop. So I went to the grocery store. There's TIF money available. How can we help you? Do you need business? You know, do you need to spruce the place up? Do you need new food? What is it that you need? So we have reached out to businesses that are already here. I just want to make sure that you're comfortable with that. And you know, tonight we're talking about a lot of what ifs. What if Mr. Schwartz did this? Or what if we did that? And what if we don't do anything? You know, I hope we don't shoot ourselves in the foot if we don't do anything. There's another what if. So.
I would encourage you that if you're wanting to expand, TIF is available to you. We have this, since I've been on this council, we've been more than generous with the TIF funds. We gave $100,000 to EMOs. We've given 75,000 to Liquid Edge. If you are in TIF district, sadly, in December, that's gone. I encourage, come to us with TIF, anyone in that district. We want to see business. Hey, McKinley, capital of the world, amen. Love to see it. Don't have any streets to offer, but. Yes, sir.
Mindy Gardner.
Mindy Gardner. That was Mr. Cleaver also, but him and stay there a second. Mindy.
Hi, my name is Mindy Gardner, and we have a business in town. My concern is by giving up the street, you're setting a precedence for Mr. Schwartz to take more advance on the city because he wants more things. And go back and say, hey, you did this for me. Now I want this, let's do something different. And I want this from you. The other question I have for all of you is, looking at the FEMA floodplain maps, the land that you seem to be getting from Mr. Schwartz is in the floodplain. What are the federal laws about burying fuel tanks in the floodplain? What are the laws about raising the level of ground up to, what is it, the 100-year floodplain level? For cases, you can't bring outside dirt into the floodplain. You're going to have to dig a mighty big hole somewhere to fill that up to level. And I don't want to see the city trade land for street and end up not being able to do anything with that property because of the federal, state, and county laws.
Thank you, ma'am.
To answer that, and it might only be a partial answer, but the deal is for 5 acres. Casey's is only going to utilize approximately 2 to 2.25 acres, which will allow them to have the total usage of the land to move that dirt around. So they've already been out there. They visited the site many times. It's a site that they want. They know it's floodplain, so they're comfortable with the site. And there was a comment made over there a minute ago, but I didn't hear it. Did you have something, sir?
If you want to draw in business from all that current e-businesses now, put up a lighted sign, they can see the pictures like we were.
Well, I believe that, I mean, that's not really us, sir. Anything out there would be DeWitt County zoning. That's who that would have to be addressed through.
Zoning has stated that if Hugs were to ask for that, then, they would consider it. That's, because I had asked about that too. Thank you for that question.
Last one is Roberta Clifton.
Last one, Ms. Clifton.
Hello, my name is Roberta Clifton, and I grew up here. Sandy and I went to first grade together. And I'm the president of the garden club here in town, and I try to keep the plants watered, and we're trying to do the best we can. I'm concerned about this issue, and like all of you, and yes, I want to see Farmer City grow too. And I've watched us go through several changes in our government over the years, and I feel like we're just spinning circles. And that concerns me. Not just about the Schwartz issue, but Farmer City is a great little town. But the negativity that comes out of this town, unfortunately, stagnates us to the point where, like the mayor is saying, we're going to die. We're on life support now. And it's scary. I agree with Michelle Monaghan. Oh my gosh. I agree with Mr. Hahn and Dawn. So why can't we all come together with positive thinking? To quote a theme from a past president, not ask what our country can do for us, but what can we do for our community? Why do we have to ask the question, what's in it for me? Why can't we come together, put our differences aside, and get something done? Because it can be done. One of my personal goals is to watch this little town have more millionaires per capita than any other small town in the nation. You think that's an outrageous goal? I don't think so. Because we as individuals have the right to make choices just like Mr. Schwartz. Now the part about Mr. Schwartz that I have a hard time with is the fact that he's got so much property here, but I don't see him doing
community-oriented things. If he loves Farmer City so much, then how come none of us, except Dawn, know him? I've never met the man before. I mean, is he buying up all this land so we'll go away? I mean, you know, maybe, I'm sorry, I wasn't here for all of yours, but, you know, I'm a little concerned about that. I would like for him to be more community-oriented. And it doesn't have to do with how much money he has, but how much he supports our community. And none of the support that I'm talking about has to do with how much money I have in my pocket or what you have in your pocket. We really need to come together and be supportive of each other and pick our battles so that we can grow our country, our little town. It is a great little town.
I have to agree with you on Mr. Schwartz coming into town. I brought it up a month or so ago. Anybody ever asked him? Well, nobody gets to see him, but anybody ever asked him to come do something for the town? The answer was, I don't know. But I think if we give it time to ask him to come in here and do something, he might surprise all of us and say, what do you need? None of us know that for sure. But that's all it takes is just to ask.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yes, sir, please. Would you like the mic? Take the mic, please. I feel like lamb coming to dinner. I think everybody here knows I'm Dan Dolber. I grew up in this town, lived here all my life. And I've done a lot of purchasing for Mr. Schwartz, in fact, all of it, in the last 30 years. I have never, ever paid less than fair market value plus a premium on any property that I bought from anybody. Nobody got things taken away from them. Nobody got anything stolen from them. The properties we went through, and we went through with carpenters and plumbing and heating people, and we evaluated every property that we purchased, each and every one of them. The ones we felt like were adequate to be added on to or remodeled and put up someplace else, we moved. And we moved at our expense and spent tens of thousands of dollars more than what the property was worth, just to move it and not to chunk it. We did not intend to take properties off the tax roll. The properties that we eliminated, and our people that are in this room that lived in some of them or owned some of them, that I wasn't lived in with my dog. I'll be honest with you, termite infested, they were terrible. They were no asset to the inn, none whatsoever, and they wouldn't have brought anybody in here to live in them. Jim cares a lot about this town, as I have over the years. I operated a business and I've sold cars in this town for over 40 years. The school issue kind of gets me going a little bit because I negotiated that deal too, and there were 2 or 3 people bidding on that. One of the people wanted to make it into a condominium and townhouses and do this, that, and the other. I haven't promised anybody that I was going to tear it down, take lots out of it. I don't know why they just put it in the press or how it got there. I wasn't part of that. But at least what's there is drawn taxes, and that lot's never drawn taxes in its life. The remodeling and the improvements that he's made over the years have added largely to the community as far as the decor and the looks
and the improvements have created tax increases. As far as Lynn Onriker, Larry will tell you from the very beginning, I guaranteed him a driveway finished and ready to use. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Never did I negotiate a blank space. The city did come to me and they offered me this. And I talked to Jim about it. Jim was concerned maybe he's not into giving up farmland. He buys farmland from time to time. But he isn't a person who's going to give up it easy. We talked about it for several days before we actually come to the agreement we're going to do it. The city is going to reap the benefit of this because they're going to get the money from Casey's for what they sell that property for. The city can't afford to run utilities and stuff out there. It's all about for the city. And Jim's not doing it. Sure, he wants the streets they need. We have talked to the city in the past, but not any negotiation. We never negotiated at all. We had to talk about it. That would be nice if we could get that one block vacated wherever it lives. The city council needs to do what they need to do. I thank you for the opportunity to speak. If anybody ever has, and I've never refused to tell anybody anything that is going on. People ask me all the time, what's Jim doing, what's Jim doing, what's Jim doing? I've known him all his life. I worked closely with him, like I said, the last 30-some years. I have no secrets. I mean, I tell people what I know. If I don't know, I'll just say I'm not privileged to that information. I just don't know. But I don't want anybody to feel like we're taking advantage of it. I don't think we did. He owns what he owns, and he takes good care of it. He's an asset to the community. And I think I told several people today, because people talk. In most communities, you take Mansfield, or you take Leroy, nice communities, not totally unlike ours. People in this community should be behind it, not in front of it. Yeah.
Same question as I asked before several times. Do you have any idea what Mr. Schwartz's plans are for the future?
He's pretty close to being done developing and buying. He's not going to buy anything else.
Sooner or later, we'll all run back. What will happen to that property? And I asked if you have any idea.
I do not. He's never mentioned.
What would happen to that property at that point? Because we know that as long as we live in it,
Sure, absolutely.
But that, I think that is a lot of concern. What will happen to that property?
Well, you know, every house and every home around that area is worth more now than it was 20 years ago. We know that. Largely because of what he's done and cleaned it up. I mean, you know, we actually bought 2 or 3 houses that the roofs are completely fallen in.
I'm not doubting that.
You know.
But like I said, it's concerned that, okay, this short is gone. We have no, as far as I know, we have no dependents, no family other than.
He needs to get busy because he's almost 70 years old, you know that? Yeah. He really does.
He might, I know. And that's, I think that's a little concern, if he could point out something like show the community that he has intentions for that.
Well, I've seen in print where he's banned from the city this, banned from the city that. He has made demands to the city. I mean, newspaper editors and writers write that stuff in paper.
Yeah, well, I believe very little I read.
He should, because he's never done that, has he? Is there many demands from any of you guys? I think so.
I don't think anybody is disputing how nice the property is. I mean, it does. He keeps it up very well. But I think the dispute is, you know, the house across from the main house, family's house, whatever.
What area house?
It's does anyone live in that house?
No, they're guest down. He has guests come in when he's here every day.
I mean, I guess it's just, that there's beautiful property and it's maintained nicely and it looks nice, but in the future, when there is, Mr. Schwartz is gone and you are gone and these city council members are gone, then what do we do? Do we just have these big open lots with a tennis court that nobody can access and all this, just strangeness in the middle of our town? It's nothing against Mr. Schwartz. I don't know the man. I have nothing against him. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the future for my children who I want to raise in this town. I was raised in this town. My father was raised in this town. My family goes back a long ways in this town, and I want to know.
Well, he was raised here when he was
and I know that.
A to Z.
And I believe, and that has nothing to do with it. Him as a person has nothing to do with it. But I want to know in the future what is going to happen with those properties. And, they are beautifully maintained. But when our streets are gone, then what do we do? It's like when we want those back in our town decides that, we don't want this anymore. Because he's not.
He's told you're going to get this back to 5 acres out there. We're going to be shaking.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe the city should be involved in this. I mean,
Look,
maybe
I
the
mean,
city should
it
be
was
involved
a
in
business, it was a business proposition, that's all it is.
On that, my friends, I'm going to go ahead and close this meeting. I appreciate everybody's time and effort, energy that you've put into this over the last several months, and keep this council in your thoughts as they reflect. Mac, would like to say what? All right, on Mac, this will be it. I will close the meeting when you're done speaking.
Yeah, I'd just like to let the people that voted for me know how I feel. I think this is a good thing for the community. I'm going to vote in favor of it. Everything Mr. Schwartz has done, as far as I'm concerned, he improves it. We need more jobs. It's not going to be a lot of jobs, but it'll help. I hope we have possibly save more Florida docs that are interested. That's where I want to see it go. And I just want to let you know how I feel. Thank you.
I have business cards in the back. You may take one up. My cell phone is on there. My email is on there. You may send me a personal message as well. Meeting adjourned.